Throughout its history, Notre Dame athletics has inspired men and women onward to victory in the game of life, often despite tremendous odds against them. These journeys have manifested themselves in a variety of physical, mental, and spiritual forms, but one element binds them together: persistence fueled by the spirit of Notre Dame. We will fight in every game, strong of heart and true to her name.
Tatum's like our little sister. She is a ball of fun. She is just always bouncing around, always talking to us. And before everything had happened, I realized, Tatum's so much fun. And the greatest part was that she stayed pretty much the same after. She was always out there trying to have fun and trying to hang out with us. And, it's just really cool to have that kind of relationship.
In the summer of 2010, Deanna Gumpf, head coach of Notre Dame's softball team, was thrown the biggest curveball of her life. Her 4-year-old daughter, Tatum, was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
The day was kind of crazy. I remember, it's like yesterday. I kept Tatum with me because I knew she was a little bit off, and she'd kind of had that fever on and off. And she woke up that morning, and it looked like she had dried chocolate on her lips. And I was like, that is so, what were you doing last night, Tatum? She's like, nothing. I said, did you eat something? And she said, no. And I wiped it off with a tissue and got a washcloth and wiped it some more. And then I brushed her teeth. And when I brushed her teeth, her gums were just bleeding like crazy. And I thought, whoa, this is just weird. I called her doctor, her pediatrician, and I said, something's funny. Her gums are bleeding when I brush her teeth. And she woke up with blood on her mouth. And her pediatrician said, bring her in right away. And so we brought her in, and she just took a blood test, and then we left. And then I went back to the office.
She comes back about maybe an hour and a half later, and she has Tatum with her. And I remember this vividly. They brought in sushi, and they were gonna eat lunch. And literally we were just in there, I was joking around with Tatum, and got her sushi all set up, and Deanna's phone rings. Well, Deanna stepped out, went into Lizzie's office because Lizzie was out of town, and takes the phone call, and I can just hear, like, you just got that feeling that there was something wrong.
And she said, there's something wrong with Tatum. And I said, what? And she said, okay, it's one of two things and neither are good. And I said, okay. And she said, no matter what, you need to get down, you need to go to Memorial Hospital, you need to get her blood drawn again, and then from there, you're probably gonna be going to Riley Children's Hospital in Indianapolis. And I said, okay, well, what are these two things? Because I'm like, I need to know what's going on. And she said, well, it's either leukemia or aplastic anemia.
The doctor told Deanna to bring Tatum in right away. We need to do blood work. And after the results came, Deanna actually couldn't get a hold of me because I was in the chapel, just praying for help.
Went over to Memorial, met my husband over there, and my sister drove me because I was kind of a mess. And he took the blood test again, and literally within 15 minutes he said, okay, we think she has leukemia. You need to go down to Riley. And I don't remember that drive at all.
A lot of things going through my head, a lot of prayers.
It was the worst feeling I'd ever felt in my life. When we got to Riley, it was close, it was a life and death situation because she had nothing to help her survive. And I think that's why the transfusions happened so quickly because she had nothing to fight anything off with. She had no immune system, and she had hardly any hemoglobin left. So it was very critical at that moment.
Deanna and I both we want to figure it out, and let's do what we got to do to get this fixed. I think Deanna absorbed more of it. She probably got a master's in leukemia in about 2 days, and while she was absorbing most of it, I was trying to stay with Tatum and just kind of keep her away from hearing certain things, or just, keep her busy.
With Deanna being a coach, it definitely helped her with the plan of attack for getting all the resources together. She had this huge binder of information that she used for reference whenever something would come up. I think that's similar to her coaching plan where she's got all of her information around her.
Being a coach, or if it's just me, or being a coach or what that is, it's absolutely how I do things. I need to know what it is, I need to know how to handle it, and I need to kind of make a plan of attack of how we're going to deal with it. Once I knew what we were dealing with and what, acute lymphoblastic leukemia was, okay, so what do we need to do? I need to know the best scenario, the worst scenario, and everything in between, and then we just go. And that's kind of how we've been handling it over the last 2.5 years.
When Notre Dame's Strong of Heart continues, Tatum's recovery gains momentum with support from the Notre Dame community. Once past the initial shock of Tatum's diagnosis, Deanna realizes she and her family won't have to face this life-threatening disease alone.
The Notre Dame family reached out immediately and didn't stop. Truly, I don't think I could have handled it anywhere else. I believe, things happen for weird reasons, and I'm so thankful that I work at Notre Dame when my daughter was diagnosed with cancer. I can't imagine being somewhere else and not having the community that we have here. I can't remember a day that didn't go by that I didn't receive a message from somebody from Notre Dame for like the first month and a half. Just, are you okay? What do you need? Tell us what you need. Everyone kept saying, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? And all I needed was my daughter to get better.
We are all just so close here. I think that we just know each other, and we just, we can rely on each other. We're hard on each other. We're honest with each other. And, these guys are here for me day in and day out, and, I'm here for them as well.
They just crush these kids the first 28 days after they're diagnosed. And then depending on how they handle that first 28 days, they go one direction or the other. And she did great. I saw her physically getting better about 3 months later. She got some energy back and started dancing around again and becoming her again.
So when I was at Riley, everyone was coming in, surprising me with balloons, and then they were all saying, I've been praying for you, and I hope you get done pretty soon.
The way that they beat the leukemic cells is they just crush their immune system so nothing grows. And so I didn't let her out of the house very often. I kind of kept her in our little bubble world. She came out for her leukemia game. We had a special game for kids with cancer.
The first Strikeout Cancer Day was so emotional because it was one of the first times, first of all, that Tatum had left the house in months. And just seeing her out there, and she was so excited to be out there, and you were just so happy for her. But at the same time, she was in uniform, but she didn't have her hair at that point. You still knew it was still kind of a smack in the face a little that this kid was battling.
She loved the attention. She had a great time out there, and I think the funniest thing was she would go into the stands and sell her autograph so she could donate that money to Memorial also. So she got up there and she said, do you want my autograph? Do you want my autograph? It's only 50 cents. She actually made about $35.
I remember putting the uniform on her that morning. It was great. And just bringing her out here to be a part of it. But to see her run around and stretch with the girls, and then throw out the first pitch was awesome.
When we walked out there together, I was just a mess. And just to watch her, to see her throw that out when there was a time where I didn't think I'd have her. It was pretty awesome. We had a huge party when she was done with treatment in September. So she finished her last treatment, and 2 weeks later we had a bash. The biggest party I've ever had. And all of our friends and family were there. It was just a big, huge orange party. And it was a blast. And then 2 months later, she was able to get her port out, and that it was a very scary day, because to think that she's getting her port out and it's really over is scary to me. It's almost too good to be true, so I have a hard time thinking that it's really done.
I think we're winning innings. You know, there's a timeline, I think within 5 years or whatever, certain years. I don't know if even after that timeline will I say we won the game, but we're definitely winning innings. And I see us winning a lot more innings.
Coach never gives up, and once Coach has a goal on her mind or something that she wants to strive for, she will do everything in her power to see that that goal is reached. I think with Tatum, it's a perfect example of that. She wanted to do everything possible for her daughter, and I believe she did.
I think more than anything I've learned, no matter what I'm going through, you know, it's not the worst of the worst. You can make it, and I think her positive attitude through everything was really what helped her fight and what I've definitely learned from in that whole situation.
Notre Dame is a family, and when you're part of it, you totally understand that. And I think you feel that the most when things are hard, because I think the people make Notre Dame Notre Dame, and you're never alone.